Good afternoon, my dear and my darling. Have an excellent lunch, okay? There's scheming going on everywhere, for heaven's sake. Scheming, it seems, even at the TSE. Scheming against the congressman, scheming by Flavio, this and that. Do you know what we found out? Flavio still hasn't registered his candidacy. Wow, Andre, do you think he's going to drop out of the race? I don't think that's it, right? I don't know, but depending on what comes up, I wouldn't be surprised by anything. But the thing is, he's still hoping to change his running mate. And to me, he's after Michelle, but Michelle is snubbing him and doesn't want to be his running mate. So far, Flavio hasn't registered his candidacy. There was the convention. He already decided he's a candidate, already decided that Alfredo Gaspar is his running mate. He could have already gone to the regional electoral court and registered his candidacy, but he hasn't done it. Is he going to wait until the last day, the 15th at 7 p.m. to file the minutes and complete the filings? Very possibly. Because he's rushing around trying to find a running mate. And the ideal would be Michelle, who is registered and doing the registration. It's Flavio Bolsonaro's disregard. Look here. Flavio leaves the candidacy registration for the very end of the deadline, which is by 7 p.m. on the 15th. Andrea, are you going to give up? No way. Let's go. Let's go. Unless some bombshell comes out, right? But I don't think so. You have to go, right? He wants a new running mate, but there's more scheming too. There's scheming everywhere. And at the same time, it's desperation, right? Flavio in particular, it's pure desperation because he couldn't get anyone. Look at this situation here. They're trying to set up Congressman Lindbergh Farias. A guy showed up saying that Lindbergh Farias staged the whole situation so there would be suspicion of rape against Flavio's running mate. Or even then, federal Congressman Alfredo Gaspar, do you remember? A woman who, given her age, already has a daughter, which means that by her age, she would have had sexual relations with a child. Right? Who? Alfredo Gaspar, because of what happened. Then a guy showed up to testify at the National Congress's Legislative Police, saying that it was all a setup by Lindbergh Farias, the federal deputy. Then the federal deputy comes out in public and says, who is this guy to be accusing me of all this? This guy took part in the January 8th attacks. He's a Bolsonaro supporter affiliated with the same party as Flavio Bolsonaro's running mate, the Liberal Party. He's affiliated with the PL. He's a hardcore Bolsonaro supporter. So from all indications, it's a setup to try to frame Federal Deputy Lindbergh Farias. Carlos Bolsonaro even made the post. Let's take a look here, guys. It's this one, look, where Carlos Bolsonaro posted. If this is true, at the very least, the guy and all trying to frame Congressman Lindbergh Farias. The man who revealed the scheme against Flavio's running mate is a member of the PL. Congressman Lindbergh Farias talked about this here. This is it. They won't show it. Look at what Congressman Lindbergh Farias said about this situation here. Let's watch it together here. This issue here is serious, okay?
And Bolsonaro's supporter Carlos Jordi posted today the testimony of a person named Luis Antonio Lopez, who had come to give a statement to the legislative police, who said that the accusation against Flavio Bolsonaro's running mate, Alfredo Gaspar, of rape of a vulnerable person had been set up by me. Then they mention names, say that people were bought, but then we went to check to see who this Luis Antonio Lopez is. Look, watch this video here. He says he's going to cut off Alexandre de Moraes' head and parade through the streets of Brasilia.
Justice Alexandre de Moraes Don't take what I'm about to say as a threat, because it's not. It's a promise. Me, Luis Antonio Mohamed Lopez. I'm going to cut off your head. I'm going to parade with it all over Brasilia. Hook up at the tip of a crowbar.
And what's more, this individual made dozens of videos against me with all kinds of accusations. He even said that the license plate of the car belonging to Adelio, who stabbed Jair Bolsonaro, was mine. Take a look.
And I want to tell you this, I'm not afraid. Lindbergh Farias is the one who hired Adelio Bispo. I have all the evidence.
He also said that Glazer and I were hiding in the federal Supreme Court on January 8th, that all of that was a trap for them.
Our story about our trip to Brasilia, right? On January 8th, 2023, he said, look, run. Isn't that woman Blaise Rockwell? I said, my God, she looks just like her. I said, but it's strange. Strange. She went in through the side entrance, right? Exactly at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, okay? I said, very strange. I already went over and told her to go call her. When Starling turned to me and said, hey, stop right there. I just saw Lindbergh Farias too. They were back there. We realized it was a trap.
It was all set up by those Bolsonaro supporting scoundrels. And there's more, folks. A week after giving this statement, it just came out in Metropolis. He joined the PL party. Now, the most serious part of this is that they used the legislative police. Look, the legislative police didn't have authority in a case involving members of parliament. It should be the Supreme Court, the federal police. They take statements like this. I want explanations about this. How does the chamber send this statement to the federal Supreme Court? It's outrageous. I filed a constitutional complaint addressed to Minister Gilmar Mendes. Bolsonaro's fraud exposed.
Guys, this is absurd. This is absurd. They're trying to take down Congressman Lindbergh Farias because he's very combative. He's a fighter. He goes after them. So they're taking advantage of this situation of suspicion of rape accusations against Flavio's running mate, Alfredo Gaspar, to try to frame Congressman Lindbergh Farias. That's what they're doing. They might even discuss it and find out that Alfredo Gaspar isn't involved. Okay, all right. Congressman Lindbergh Farias received a report that this was happening regarding Congressman Alfredo Gaspar, that it could be a case of rape of a vulnerable person. Congressman Lindbergh Farias, together with Soraya Tronic, then went to the federal police and the federal Supreme Court to file the criminal complaint. Who has to investigate now and say whether it is or not? It's not even the legislative police, it's the federal police. And to proceed or file it away depending on what is uncovered. Now, Congressman Lindbergh Farias, given what he received, he had to do what he did. And that's it, period. Now, this guy comes in, who's a Bolsonaro supporter, who said he was going to cut off Minister Alexandre de Moraes' head, put it on the tip of a spear and walk around Brasilia, and try to discredit Federal Deputy Lindbergh Farias. I'm sorry, but he has no standing whatsoever. Who is this guy? And this guy, he's such a crazy one, a crazy Bolsonarist, that he even said he saw Deputy Lindbergh Farias and Gleis Hoffmann there in the middle of the crowd on January 8th. No, guys, for God's sake, you really need a lot of patience. What kind of crazy people are these? How long are we going to have to put up with these people's madness? That guy is an idiot. He's an extremist, dangerous, capable of anything. And by the way he talks, we saw who he is, saying he would cut off Minister Alexandre de Moraes' head and put it on a spear. Not me, give me a break. These people are crazy. And speaking of crazy, look who showed up here. Eduardo Bolsonaro spends almost 10 grand on an AR-15 a Glock and a 12 gauge and talks about forming militias. Eduardo shows off an AR-15 a Glock and a 12 gauge, all bought in the United States. In the price comparison, the amounts mentioned reach almost 10 grand. And the former congressman attributes to the Second Amendment the right to form militias to overthrow dictators. The question that won't go away, where does the money come from? No, because he doesn't have a job, guys. He was a federal congressman here. He's always been a politician. He's always been a politician. He doesn't have a job in the United States. He doesn't have a formal job. Who's paying? Who's paying the bill? Because I think this was more than 10,000. He bought 3 guns, a 12 gauge, an AR-15, and a Glock. He doesn't even have money to pay for the apartment here in Brazil, which was taken to auction here in Brazil. Who's paying for this nonsense here? Because here's the thing, all his accounts are frozen. Is he paying with cash or what? Where's the money coming from? So I'm going to have to remind you, right? Daniel Vorcaro transferred 61 million for Pangare's movie from Bolsonaro, who says it was for the movie. And to this day, no one has accounted for it. And the money went to a fund over there in Texas, where Eduardo Bolsonaro lives in a 6 million mansion. And the fund, the one who manages it is Eduardo Bolsonaro's lawyer who received it. He received the stolen money from Daniel Vorcaro. I'll ask again, who is paying this bill here? That's what people want to know, Eduardo Bolsonaro. Because in Texas, carrying guns and all that is allowed. Everyone knows that. There in the United States, they have a different culture, a different way of life, and that's it, period. Now here we want to know who's paying the bill, who is paying and supporting you. The money that was meant for the movie ended up in your lawyer's account. Shall we watch the video here? Pay attention. No, actually, I won't play the video. No, I won't. That's it. Otherwise, it could be a trap for me too. So I won't play it. But he says that, you know. Oh. And he says the following. What? And in the United States, they even let people buy guns so they can form militias to overthrow a dictatorial government. So come here and try to overthrow it then, because you say that Brazil is a dictatorship. Come to Brazil. What are you doing there in the United States? Come here. You're just like a dog, right? You keep barking from far away, but when you get close, you back down, you run away. But your time will come, Eduardo Bananinha. Your time will come. Your case is wrapping up here in Brazil. Soon you'll be on Interpol's list, on an Interpol red notice. You won't be able to leave the United States or you'll be arrested. And you know that, right? And what do I think? I think it's not enough. And I think it's taking too long too, but your time will come. Write it down, Eduardo Bananinha, traitor to the country. And he's all desperate, isn't he? He's completely desperate. Because he sees that Flavio Bolsonaro is going downhill and hasn't found an alliance, hasn't found anyone to stand with him, right? But thanks to you too, right? With the whole issue of the huge tariff increase, with this whole situation, who is going to stand with him? Even Tarcísio. Even Tarcísio said in the debate that he's against the huge tariff increase. You Bolsonaristas went after it. Tarcísio even put on a Trump hat. Now, a bunch of people put on the Trump hat, right? Romeo Zema, they're saying they're against the huge tariff increase. I thank the Bolsonaros. That's why you didn't want to ally with Flavio Bolsonaro. It's also because of the issue with the huge tariff increase, which is especially hurting those you represent, the oligarchy and the Brazilian elite, who are taking losses because of the tariff hike, which the Bolsonaro clan, organized, engineered, together with the government of Mrs. Estranqueira. And you know that if you allied yourselves with Flavio Bolsonaro, you would lose your bases and votes for state deputies, federal deputies, senators, and in the governor races. Tell the truth. You think we're fools, right? No. Not here. Here you don't sweet talk us, no. Go ahead, hit the like button and put it Put it. Lula, 4-time champion, maybe even in the first round. You can cry, you bunch of sheep. Cry, you bunch of sheep. Trump left Turkey hidden in a truck after Iran's threat. Look here, guys. Trump ran away from Turkey. He went all the way to Turkey thinking he was the big shot. But when Iran found out he was in Turkey, they said, hey, get out of there. Leave now, because we'll drop a bomb on your head. So he just ran away and escaped. You're afraid of bombs, right? That's it. Anyone with sense is afraid of bombs and afraid of gunshots. Those who don't have any sense think they're immune, right? The Bolsonaristas keep asking for intervention from foreign governments. The bomb that falls on my head falls on yours too, man. It's unbelievable, let me tell you. Meanwhile, the president of the TSC is meeting with ministers this Thursday to discuss AI, artificial intelligence, and will probably discuss the case against Flavio. I'll tell you about it right here. Look, firsthand, my opinion, Flavio will be convicted. He won't be disqualified, no, he won't, no, but he will be held liable along with the Liberal Party. There's no way he won't be. The use of artificial intelligence and deepfakes is already prohibited by the Superior Electoral Court. What are they going to do? They're going to fine Flavio Bolsonaro and most likely the PL party as well, right along with him, for using an AI-generated video with Bolsonaro's image and voice at the convention. That was just this July. They're going to do that. And more, I heard that they're going to be heavy-handed. For what, Andrea? To set an example. Especially because they're afraid of losing control over this situation. And I've already told you all. Andre Mendonça and Nunes Marques by themselves, they won't uphold decisions. The decisions have to go through the panel. There are 7 justices on the Superior Electoral Court. And another thing, Andre Mendonça and Nunes Marques, if they push it and try to benefit Flavio, they will be publicly shamed. Because the Supreme Federal Court is the highest authority, and it can overturn, change, or annul decisions from the TSC, including those from the TSC's own plenary. So they're not going to put themselves at risk. So keep that in mind. Nunes Marques and Andre Mendonça are not going to put themselves at risk because of Flavio. They might be able to help out a little here and there, buying some time, doing this and that, but in the end, they won't take the heat. Keep that in mind. And why am I telling you this? Because the Bolsonaro supporters are deluded. As always, right? Deluded, deceived, and misled. That was good. I liked it. Deluded, deceived, and misled. It even rhymed. And they think that, oh, the TSE, oh, Nunes Marques, oh, Andre Mendonça, stop being foolish. For God's sake, whoa, stop being empty-headed. Look here, okay, pay attention. The president of the TSE, Cassio Nunes Marques, called the other members of the court to discuss the case and set the trial agenda. Oh, according to sources at the court, there was a real concern among the justices. It's unprecedented, of course, right at the beginning of the campaign. The electoral justice system runs the risk of being flooded with complaints involving the use of artificial intelligence. The idea is to use the case of the PL convention video to set guidelines on how the resolution will be applied and on making the decisions throughout the election period more predictable. What is this, Andrea? To serve as an example. It's meant to serve as an example. The Superior Electoral Court will very likely use this measure to set an example. Otherwise, it will lose control. That's what I told you from the beginning. If the TSE accepts that nonsense that the PL did there at the convention with Flavio Bolsonaro, using AI-generated video, it loses control. And if they can do it, we can do it too. And it will turn into a complete mess and no one will have control over anything. So, from what it looks like, they are going to step in and enforce the measures strictly. More specifically, they won't revoke Flavio's candidacy. They won't do any of that. There won't be any revocation. It will be a fine. And the fine should be heavy to set an example. And let's see what happens. Now, that's when I say if it's allowed, say so, because we'll do it too. If the right does it, if the far right does it, then we're going to do it too. If it's allowed, then let's do it. Level playing field. Now, if it's not allowed, just decide already, and that's it. It's over. And stop this nonsense. Otherwise, it's going to lose control, okay? Look here. Ineligible. The court orders Garotinho to comply with the ruling that should keep him out of the elections. The judge ordered the suspension of the former governor's political rights for 8 years after the Supreme Federal Court. Yeah, this one looks like Dalai Dalanyol, right? He wants to be a candidate, but he's still ineligible. There's no way, right, guys? There's no way. There's still an appeal, but most likely he won't make it. If he does, the Electoral Court has literally become a joke. Meanwhile, the Director General of the Federal Police goes on vacation in the middle of the crisis with Andre Mendonça. The conflict involves orders from Mendonça related to the investigations known as the Barra do INSS. The minister ordered the federal police to send all the raw material obtained in the investigations to his office. Among those under investigation is Fabio Luiz, known as Lulinha, the eldest son of President Lula. The federal police argue that the order interferes with the autonomy of the officers and those responsible for the investigation. This has never happened here. Not even Alexandre de Moraes did this. Look, from what I understand, this is interference. And Andre Mendonça is doing something he's not allowed to do? Andre Mendonça gave the order for the federal police to hand over the raw evidence without forensic analysis. From the federal police, without a federal police report, without verification from the federal police. If they find evidence, they're supposed to take it and deliver the raw evidence straight to his office. What the hell is this, for God's sake? It's the judge acting like a police chief. You can't do that, people. Who could still do that? The only one who could still do that would be the public prosecutor's office, to say, no, if any evidence comes in, if anything happens, call me so we can handle the whole thing together. But now, no. The judge, the minister, is acting like the police. Not even Alexandre de Moraes, whom you, Bolsonarists, said was a sheriff, that he was acting like an investigator, this, that, and the other. Not even Alexandre de Moraes did that. And Andre Mendonça did. And the federal police understand that this is direct interference in the work of the federal police. Within the system, there are those who investigate, the police, those who prosecute, the public prosecutor's office, and those who judge, the judiciary. Andre Mendonça is acting as both the police and the public prosecutor's office. And he's the one who will judge later. That's not right. It seems like he's creating grounds to invalidate the proceedings himself. To benefit whom? Get the code, my dear. And for much less, you, Bolsonarists, asked for the impeachment of Minister Alexandre de Moraes. And now you're applauding Minister Andre Mendonça. For whose benefit? Don't let me talk by myself. Don't leave me talking alone. Put it up and answer these questions, please. Me, I'd say out with Andre Mendonça. So because of that, the General Director of the Federal Police, Andre Rodriguez, went on vacation to try to calm things down, especially because the Federal Police reached out to the Attorney General's office, whose chief is Jorge Messias, who is evangelical and a friend of Andre Mendonça. And Jorge Messias from the Attorney General's office said he will not file a complaint against Andre Mendonça. Then they had a little meeting, all scared, and said everything was settled. Is it really settled? No. And I'm sorry to say this to the federal police, but you're going to have to grab the bull by the horns and file the complaint yourselves through your associations and your unions. If not, you are the ones who are going to lose space and power given to you by the federal constitution because of a judge who is acting like a police commissioner and a prosecutor. And the question that remains is, who is being benefited? Andre Mendonça, who was appointed by Bolsonaro to the Supreme Federal Court. What do you think? Did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? Got it. Got it.
Got it? Hey.
Vito, thank you very much. I bet being called a coward in a debate in Paraná. The criticism led Moro to restrict comments on his Instagram post, in which he had previously announced his absence from the debate. Before turning off the comments, the post already had more than 1,000 comments, most of them critical of the senator's attitude. The senator confirmed his presence at the debate there in the state of Paraná, where he is running for governor. And he simply didn't show up at the debate. Then people started attacking him on his social media, like, hey, you ran away, coward, weakling, fool. Hey, Sergio Moro, why didn't you go? Okay, he's there with his stuff, blah, blah, blah. They went after him hard. Then he went and blocked the comments. Do you know why he didn't go? Because he was going to get such a big beating there. That's why he didn't go. What Sergio Moro is going to explain. What is Sergio Moro's explanation? So to be on the same political stage as Flavio Bolsonaro, if he left Bolsonaro's Ministry of Justice saying that Bolsonaro was interfering in the federal police to protect his son from the Rachadinha investigation, Flavio Bolsonaro. That's why he resigned from the position of Minister of Justice in Bolsonaro's government. He said that there are lots of videos of him saying that he didn't get involved with corrupt people, with criminals, that he was anti-corruption, blah, 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 blah. And that's why he gave up the position of Minister of Justice, because Bolsonaro was interfering to protect Flavio Bolsonaro from the investigation into the Rachadinha scheme. And now, Sergio Moro is now on the same political stage, supporting Flavio Bolsonaro, and Flavio Bolsonaro supporting him. What is he going to say, guys? He was going to be destroyed in the debate. That's why he didn't go. But there's a catch. And Sergio Moro was doing very well in the polls there. Right? The poll indicators there were saying that Sergio Moro would be elected in the first round as governor of Paraná. But now he's already dropping. He's just been dropping. And since he ran away from the debate, he dropped even more. And things are going to get rough if there's a runoff in the state of Paraná. Sergio Moro won't win. Why, Andre? He lives in a glass house and he's got dirt on him and everything is televised. Everything is filmed. Things he used to say and do as a so-called champion of justice, blah, blah, blah. And now he's in bed with the criminals he used to point fingers at. He won't win. If there's a runoff in the state of Paraná, Sergio Moro won't win. He'll even lose his way home. And what do I think? Oh my goodness, that's nothing compared to what he deserves. That's nothing compared to what he deserves. Central, come here, check this for me. Central, check for me whether Sergio Moro's term is ending now or does he have 4 more years, right? Yeah, he's holding on to that. It's because he has 4 more years. If he loses the governorship of Paraná, he still remains a senator. I wish he didn't have any more time so he would lose his seat, because Sergio Moro has to answer too, right? It's not just Gabriela Hart who was suspended who has to answer. No, he also has to answer for the Lava Jato fraud, just like Delton Dallagnol. Put up Moro out. Moro is going to lose there. Listen to what I'm telling you. If there's a second round, he loses. Especially because if he keeps skipping the debates, who's going to vote for the coward? Give me a break, folks. Well, crisis. Most Argentinians disapprove. They disapprove of Millei's attacks on Lula. The release of the results comes amid escalating tensions between the two countries. On July 25th, while attending the PL Party convention that officially nominated Flavio Bolsonaro for the presidency, Milei gave a speech in which he referred to President Lula as a thief and a convict. He also called Federal Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes a bald piece of trash for not allowing him to visit former President Jair Bolsonaro. Well, after that, the Lula government decided to take some retaliatory measures against Argentina. Right? That's correct. It's not wrong. And now, the people of Argentina there, some representatives of the Milei government, are eager to calm things down because there are a lot of business deals. There's a lot of trade and business between Argentina and Brazil, where Argentina benefits a lot. So it started there, like, if that's how it is, then let's start making things harder for you. If you guys are acting tough, oh, pam, pam, bam, 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 all about fighting and showing off with those silly dances. So let's see if you can handle it. Now they're backing down, coming to Lula's government to calm things down and lower the tension. Here's the deal. Either you show respect or you get out. Take the loss. Now the situation in Argentina is serious. The country is in a terrible crisis. Javier Milei won't be re-elected here or anywhere else. People don't have money to buy chicken to eat, so they're buying donkey meat. They're killing donkeys there to eat the meat. He made a labor reform where the worker can be paid with food. Guys, what is this? Are we back in the days of servants, of serfs who worked for a bed and food? That's right. So like Javier Milei is a catastrophe. You know what I think? I think it's not enough. Why? Because this whole situation results in more votes for Lula. Just like the issue with Donald Tranqueira, this whole situation ends up giving more votes to Lula. Why? Because Flavio Bolsonaro can't choose allies because nobody wants him. So whoever gets close to him, he clings to them. Javier Milei costs Flavio votes today. Donald Tranqueira, with these attacks on our sovereignty, is a negative vote for Flavio and a positive one for Lula. That's why I think it's not enough. I really think it's not enough. Because the Brazilian people can be whatever they want, right, left, center, it's all fine. What is political pluralism? It's a foundation of the Federative Republic of Brazil that's in the federal constitution, and that's all fine. But if you're an idiot and a traitor to the country, then nobody accepts that. Or at least the majority of the Brazilian population doesn't accept it. Doesn't accept that, folks. You can be whatever you want, but conspiring and sabotaging your land, your nation, your people, your territory, your sovereignty, that's just stupidity. That's what a traitor to the homeland does, and nobody likes that. Except for some Bolsonarists, and not even all of them. Some Bolsonarists like that, right, Flavio? Right, Eduardo Bolsonaro? Right, Nicolas Ferreira? Because Tarcísio said he doesn't like it. He says he won't wear Donald Tranqueira's hat anymore. Zema also said he doesn't like it, that it's bad. And that he also won't wear Donald Tranqueira's cap like they did last year. Oh my, it's one self-inflicted wound after another. Let me tell you, okay? Jesus. So why don't you take this opportunity not to let me talk to myself and not to let me talk to myself? And put Lula Tetra there, please. Could you? Can you do that? No, what did I do to you? Then like the live stream. Hit that like button on the live stream, give it a thumbs up, and everything is going really well. Oh, Jesus. Pakim says that the judiciary exists to serve, not to be served. Pakim, the public authority, including the justice system, exists to serve and not to be served. Public trust never comes from silence. No institution from any branch of power should consider itself immune to any form of external oversight. Those who demand transparency must also practice it. He said this here as part of a measure he is adopting to regulate the issue of judiciary salaries in Brazil. To put an end once and for all to the excessive judicial salaries in Brazil. This is very important, right, guys? Now, of course, we can't forget. And the one who brought up this issue was Flavio Dino. Flavio Dino is a prominent figure today in the federal Supreme Court. He had the courage to wade into a hornet's nest when it comes to excessive judicial salaries in Brazil. When it comes to parliamentary amendments, and also when it comes to the issue of punishment, which was actually a reward. It was compulsory retirement. The judge would misbehave, commit a crime. Instead of being dismissed in the public interest, his punishment, which was actually a reward, was compulsory retirement. Flavio Dino grabbed the devil by the horns and went after these situations. And he faced it and started to make changes, both regarding the issue of excessive salaries and the issue of compulsory retirement, as well as the issue of budget amendments. We are seeing interference from the legislative branch in the executive branch. The legislative branch is taking over part of the budget, even though it doesn't have the executive authority to manage it. This is a very serious mistake. Whether he likes it or not, Lula will have to face it. And you can be sure of that. I hadn't told you this before, but this is the first time I'm saying it. You can be sure of that. That if Lula is reelected, he will file a direct action of unconstitutionality against this kind of situation, where the parliament is usurping the executive branch's powers, taking money from those who need it to manage, which is the executive branch, through uncontrolled amendments. Oh, Andrea, why didn't Lula get involved now? Because of the election. I'm not going to lie. If he's reelected, he'll solve this situation together with the Supreme Federal Court. The Supreme Federal Court will put an end to this racket of the parliamentary amendments that go here and there, back and forth, billions, more than 50 billion reais, where they don't even want to provide traceability, where they don't want us to know, not even where the money went. This is absurd. And I emphasize, the one who grabbed the devil by the horns was Flavio Dino. The one who should solve this is the parliament itself, but they don't. They just keep dragging it out. But from the moment that Lula, through the office of the Attorney General of the Union, files the direct action of unconstitutionality, the Supreme Court will settle this mess in a little while. The President of the Republic won't have money to govern. And his main responsibility is to manage the country. It's just like your own home. To manage your home, what do you need? Money to pay the water bill, the electricity bill, the internet bill, rent, or a mortgage, right? Yes. The executive has to manage the entire public system. What does he need? The budget, the money to do that. If he doesn't do that, there's no way he can manage. How are you going to manage your house if you don't have money to pay for water, electricity, phone, gas? How are you going to do it? You can't manage. And that's what the parliament is doing. They're taking away the executive's authority. And this can't go on. That's why Lula, for the fourth time, will have to solve this problem. He'll have to grab the bull by the horns and fix this issue. Otherwise, Brazil will become unsustainable. And the corruption with money from parliamentary amendments will be everywhere, where they don't even want us to know where the money went. That's why Claudio Dino got involved in this fight. And I even believe he'll be the judge who already has jurisdiction. As soon as Lula files this lawsuit, the judge who already has jurisdiction will be the one already dealing with these amendments. Who is it? Claudio Dino. Who will have the courage to face it? The corrupt part of this Congress. Corrupt. Meanwhile, Moraes from the Supreme Federal Court orders a thorough investigation into Deborah Dubatom's courses. Deborah Dubatom thinks she's going to get away with it. That lipstick trick won't work on Alexandra de Moraes. She'll have to take the course properly. Otherwise, she'll go back to jail. See? Just letting you know. Look here, see? Moraes orders that the judge of the Criminal Enforcement Court of the District of Paulínia, São Paulo, take the necessary measures with the Women's Social Reintegration Center of Rio Claro, São Paulo, in order to prove the existence of authorization or agreement with the public authorities regarding the courses. Don't think you're going to fool Alexandra de Moraes. You're not. Here's the thing. Many of these coup plotters were released from jail through an agreement. You will take a rehabilitation course. You will take a course to understand what democracy is. You will pay the fine. You will comply with a set of conditions. Then you get the benefit of going home. If you don't do it and don't accept it, you go back to jail. Then there's a suspicion of a mess involving Deborah Dubatom. Looks like you haven't learned, have you? Go ahead, try it and see what happens. You're going to end up back in jail. And then don't bother acting like you're poor, helpless, unlucky, or persecuted, okay? See? People are given a chance. Those who know how to take advantage do. Those who don't literally get screwed. And I repeat, there's no point in acting poor, pitiful, or miserable. It doesn't work, okay? And guys, do you think will they approve the end of the 6 days on, 1 day off work schedule before the election? What's going on? There's some buzz behind the scenes that Lula managed to secure Davi Alcolumbre. And that Davi Alcolumbre might even be organizing remote voting to approve the end of the 6 days on, 1 day off schedule. Could it be, Andrea? This conversation is happening behind the scenes inside the National Congress by... Look here, Congressman Rogério Correa. Look at what he said here. Pay attention. Go ahead and smash the like button, please.
Heading to Brasilia, folks. End of the 6 days on, 1 day off work schedule and maintenance of emergency aid for those affected by Vale's crime in Brumadinho. These are the two goals I'm going to Brasilia for now. The first one is for Senator Alcolumbre, President of the National Congress. Finally puts this issue on the agenda. It's so important for Brazilian workers, which is to work 5 days and be able to rest for 2. Without a salary reduction and with a 40-hour work week, it's already been approved in the House, but it needs to be approved in the Senate. The pressure is on the senators and, of course, on the President Alcolumbre to take it out of the drawer and put it up for a vote. And the second is to guarantee emergency aid for everyone affected by Vale's crime in Brumadinho. As President of the External Commission, I will once again appeal to Minister Gilmar Mendes to ensure that this guarantee is given to those affected. Because until today, there hasn't been fair compensation, and that's what the PNAB law guarantees, the national dam policy, sanctioned by President Lula, and which is also authored and reported by me. It's an important goal to bring justice to those affected. So everyone, I'm going to Brasilia with these objectives, and stay tuned. We'll keep giving you more news throughout the week.
That's right. So there's some movement happening in Brasilia that isn't normal for this pre-election period. I'm already giving you a heads up. Thank you. There's some movement going on there that's not normal. And maybe even this. Pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. Lula will manage to approve the end of the 6 days on, 1 day off work schedule before the elections. Then Flavio Bolsonaro goes into total panic. Then the Bolsonaro supporters will freak out and pull their hair out in despair. That's right. Stay tuned. Because this could happen at any moment. There's movement in Brasilia that's not normal. Let's keep an eye on it. Did Lula make it? I don't doubt Lula's ability at all. On the contrary, Lula is one of the most prepared and capable politicians to run Brazil that I've ever seen. I've never seen someone so prepared and capable, especially because of his ability to build consensus and dialogue. You understand? And I'll repeat. We might even have this victory before the election. The approval of the end of the 6 days on, 1 day off work schedule, don't doubt it. And I want to reflect with you together with Congressman Marcelo Freixo. Wagner Moura, who is that actor who's so good that he's now making American movies, he offered an interesting reflection. And Congressman Marcelo Freixo shared this reflection here, which I want to share with you. Because Wagner Moura said he was left-wing. Then they came after him, attacked him. How can he be left-wing if he's rich now, and so on? Then Wagner Moura offered an interesting reflection. Rich people can be left-wing. Yes. Is it only poor people who are left-wing? You're very mistaken. There are many rich and very rich people who are left-wing because they are aware that the social aspect is very important. And that the state does indeed have to do its part to support the most vulnerable. Let's take a look at this reflection I found. That I found really interesting. Let's take a look together and talk about it. Leave your comment too. Take a look here.
Guys, take a look at what Wagner Moura is saying in this video. I think it's really important.
The guy says, no, you succeeded in your career as an actor, so you managed to have money to buy your things. The guys who believe in meritocracy, right? When I was there in Rodelas, I was poor. Then I could be left-wing, right? I wanted to know what the limit is. How much do you need to earn for you to stop believing in social justice? What is this threshold you cross that if you succeed with your work, you have to stop believing that others also deserve it, that you're an exception and you made it? I really don't understand that line of reasoning, Pedro, honestly.
It doesn't make sense, does it? You
You're
are
a
what you
Toquita
are.
because you're here, drinking this wine with Pedro Bial at the World Cup. And you believe that people who live in the favela deserve to be treated with decency. I thrived because in Salvador in the 90s, there was a cultural incentive law which allowed me, Vladimir Brista, Lazaro Ramos, for us to work and have a story, to have a career as actors. I thrived in my life as an actor because of that.
Guys, look, Wagner's statement is super important for a few reasons. Let's go. First, what makes someone left-wing? What makes someone committed to society, looking out for the poor, wanting more social justice, isn't just about being part of a political party.
No, I'm left-wing because I'm from the PT. I'm left-wing because I'm, of course...
There are left-wing parties, but being left-wing is a worldview. It's your history. It's your behavior. You can be a left-wing person and not be in any political party. You can be someone with more or less money and still be a left-wing person because of your worldview. That's very important. Wagner comes from a very humble background. He did theater. He benefited from public policies, actually, from Lula's government, which allowed artists to prosper. As a great actor, and he is a great actor, Lazaro is a great actor, Vladimir, Grisha is a great actor. They were from the same group. How many others managed to prosper thanks to public policies that allowed people, because of their quality and talent, to succeed? If it weren't for public policy, he wouldn't have prospered. Does the fact that he is successful mean he has to change his opinion? Does it mean he shouldn't care about social equality, shouldn't care about public policies? No, of course not. So it's very important for us to understand that all this logic of it's left wing or right wing, it's about how you look at things, how you perceive the world, how you feel the world, how you position yourself in the world. This can be in partisan terms, but it's a broader view of the world, a broader view of society. Congratulations, Wagner, for your consistency, your story, and your success. Let's go, everyone.
Yeah, come on, everyone. This crude view, right? That to be left wing, you have to be a failure poor. That's a mistake. That's a misconception. A left-wing person is someone who understands that if I have the right and the means to have a cell phone, you should also have that right. If I have the right to a quality education, you should also have that right. If I have the right to quality healthcare, you should also have that right. If I have a house, you should also have the right and the means to have a house. Do you understand? That is what it means to be left-wing. It's about understanding and being aware of how important social issues are, especially in Brazil, where social inequality is extremely severe, where 80% of the Brazilian population barely survives on 1.5 salaries. And 1% of the Brazilian population holds almost 70% of all the wealth in Brazil. And about 19% are in the middle class. In other words, the unequal distribution of income is very severe. And what does that mean? A lack of qualifications and a lack of opportunities. And the left-wing government does that. It opens the way to give opportunities to those who need it most. Quota laws, incentives to help pay for university and college, all of this is a left-wing approach. And today there are people who are left-wing and are now wealthy because they had an opportunity in the past, thanks to a left-wing government, to study. That's why we are left-wing. The sad thing is a poor person who is right-wing because they support their oppressors. That's really sad. So this kind of reflection among us is very important because we have the right to grow, to be, and even to remain left-wing. Okay? A kiss to your heart. I'll be back at 5:30 p.m. every day from now on, at 9:30 p.m., 1:30 p.m., and 5:30 p.m. while I'm blocked from doing live streams. Okay? Smash that like button, like, comment, and share. We are the resistance, and here it's Lula Tetra. Kisses.